Good morning. How are you this morning? I am reading Waking Up by Sam Harris. I wanted to read a quote by Aldous Huxley, which jumped out at me. It's from Aldous Huxley's book, The Perennial Philosophy, an interpretation of the great mystics, East and West. And I think this is the best part of the book. But he goes on to try and refute it with his own ideas, which I don't think he succeeds at doing. Harris, I mean. He's talking about what he feels is a common theme to all religions, that they're trying to connect to God in their own way. He uses the term ground with a capital G. I don't know why he uses that term, but let me read through this and you can tell me if it resonates with you or not. Perennial philosophy, or Philosophia Perennis. This phrase was coined by Leibniz, the philosopher Leibniz, right? But the thing, the metaphysic that recognizes a divine reality with a capital R, substantial to the world of things and lives and minds. This psychology that finds in the soul something similar to, or even identical with, divine reality. The ethic that places man's final end in the knowledge of the immanent and transcendent God of all being. He uses ground of all being. This thing is immemorial and universal. Rudiments of the perennial philosophy may be found among the traditional lores of primitive peoples in every region of the world, and in its fully developed forms, it has a place in every one of the higher religions. A version of this highest common factor, he calls it, in all preceding and subsequent theologies was first committed to writing more than 25 centuries ago, and since that time, this inexhaustible theme has been treated again and again from the standpoint of every religious tradition and in all the principal languages of Asia and Europe. That's from Aldous Huxley, and so that's something that I very much agree with. But I'm going through this book. I'm not going to do a chapter by chapter review. I'm just going to try and see if there's things that jump out at me. This is from where he makes this quote is from the chapter called Spirituality, right? And so Sam Harris has a paragraph right before that where he talks about the major different religions, and he picks out Buddhism as being a truly sophisticated empirical approach to understanding the human mind. Seriously, Buddhism? Okay. I mean, the guy is really gaga over Buddhism, and I can understand why, because he studied meditation techniques from it, from different variants of Buddhism. I think the variant is called Avyanta or something like that. It comes up later. It's not right here in the book. It comes up later. And he's, become a master at controlling his thoughts and being able to meditate with tremendous results. I mean, in his own life is a living testimony to that. The way that he's able to present himself and his thoughts in such a reserved, stoic, and controlled fashion. And I know that many people have benefited from the meditation, the simple meditation that he teaches, right? Concentrating on your breath and letting your thoughts distance themselves from your perception of your own consciousness, basically. And that can be a valuable habit to develop for many different reasons that I'm not going to get into here. But he mentions Christianity, and he says, Christianity presents an almost perfect impediment to such understanding. And so he's obviously biased, and later on he makes a direct um, a direct quote against Jesus Christ. So he is certainly against Christ. He's opposed to Christianity, and he'd be the first to admit it. So um, that's something to keep in mind. And he has his own views, and he promotes Buddhism from the viewpoint of an atheist as well. Oh, I'm losing connection here because the sun is coming up into the view. I'm sorry about that. It's going to be a bad view video. I don't know if I can block that or something. Oh, there we go. Shoot. I'm going to have to move this. In any event, I don't want to go belabor this point, but I think I might be tempted to pick up that book by Huxley, which I've never read. And I'm just going to check what it's called again. The Perennial Philosophy, an interpretation of the great mystics, East and West, by Aldous Huxley. He lists it in the notes, so I'll have to head on down to the library and see if I can get my hands on that. And also, he mentions the Christian mystic Meister Eckhart, and who lived way back, circa 1260 to around 1327. So that's the time this guy lived. Apparently died in the year 1327. And Eckhart, this guy called Meister Eckhart, or Master Eckhart, Mr. Eckhart, I guess. He's similar to Aldous Huxley in his view. And he says, he quotes him as well. He says, "The knower and the known are one. Simple people imagine that they should see God as if he stood there and they hear. This is not so. God and I, we are one in knowledge." I don't agree with all of that, but there's something profound in a part of it, because I believe we have access to both. We can experience God as an individual and as being unified with God, depending on the time and circumstances. So I believe in half of what Eckhart is saying. He says, he sounded like a man probably bound to be excommunicated by his church, and he was. Had Eckhart lived a little longer, it seems certainly he would have been dragged into the street and burned alive for these expansive ideas. That is a common result of somebody that feels a divine connection to God and the universalness of God's mercy and love. They end up being rejected. The purpose of Christianity is not to find God, is to seek God. That's what Christianity promotes. I mean, I'm talking about modern organized Christianity. Modern organized Christianity is a religion whose modus operandi is the seeking of God. That is the whole purpose of their gathering, their Bible studies, daily church, prayer groups, their music, everything is focused around that. I'm generalizing on the whole. For the most part, it's more of a feeling of we're seeking God, but we're never going to find him, or the futility of finding him. You know what I mean, right? It's a seeking-oriented tradition. And the problem for those that do find God is the transitory nature of it. You can find God, you can experience God, you can have a mountaintop experience, as they call it that. But it's like looking at yourself in the mirror. You turn around again and it's gone. It's hard even to put it into words. So there's that. Anyway, I'm going to dig more into Sam Harris's book, and we'll move on from there. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Have a great day.